Never miss an episode of the Final Furlong podcast. Subscribe now on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And now, here's your host, Emmet Kennedy.
Welcome to the weekend review on the Final Furlong podcast. It is great to have your company and for watching this episode and a free to enter competition. You may very well be joining us for the 1xBet Grand National Trial at Punchestown this weekend. Not just tickets for you and a friend, but also access to the owners and trainers and lunch for both of you as well. It's the gravy train, courtesy of ourselves and 1xBet. Your chance to win is coming up in this episode of the Final Furlong podcast. Stay tuned. Adam Mills, Jaime Wrenn, and from the excellent Champ.ie podcast, Barry Doyle makes his glorious return to the show. It is great to have the three boys here and lots to talk about from the weekend's racing, including Lulamba's win in the Sprinter Chase. It's a race that Nicky Henderson has won with Altior and Sprinter Sacre and a number of other horses as well, but those two in particular because they use that as a prep race before taking the Arkle. Adam Mills wrote a very detailed piece, as he always does, for Total Performance Data, and in that piece you talk about how classy the horse is, but how you are very much concerned about his jumping.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I'm struggling to end that piece, and I've sort of, can he win the Arkle? Yes, but his jumping is a real Achilles heel. And if you look at the jumping notes, every time he made a mistake, it just felt a bit like he was slow at the first, got the wrong stride on the second, bumped Calico a couple of times. I'd rather have a careful novice than a clumsy one. So he is getting over his fences. He's not belting them, but he is losing ground in his jumping. I thought Nicola Boinville was trying to educate him. Keeping him on the inside was a mistake. And if you look at when he jumped fine was when there were no horses around him. When he either had the racing room or in the latter stages when he pulled clear. Once he's on his own, he's fine. But I think in the Arkle, they're going to go a shade quicker. Something's going to jump well in front. I could see him making mistakes. Look, he is, pound for pound, I think he's the best horse in the Arkle field, but I don't think he's the best jumper. And I think certainly the Mullins pair will be looking at him and thinking, if we can get into a rhythm, we can make him make mistakes. I do like him. I think he's better than Saturday's result. And look, he's won an Open Company Grade 2. But I think we also have to put some context onto that Grade 2. That could easily have been a Class 2 handicap, and I don't think anyone would have batted an eyelid with the exception of Lulamba. So it's a little bit restrictive. He did everything he should do. He got himself out of trouble. And to be honest, turning in, you'd think he might get beat. So he did a lot of things right, but his jumping's just not, it doesn't wow me, and it wouldn't surprise me at all if he made a couple of mistakes and got too far back.
Nicky Henderson's going for his 7th win in the Arkle, so on the plus side, Jaime Wrenn, it's the right man to get the job done. We haven't had a 5-year-old winner of the race since Voipor Estedes, and the weight difference is very different from the well-chief Voipor Estedes days in the Arkle. You look at the betting, you look at the form of the race, you can absolutely see why this horse should be favoured for the Arkle. But does the current price of 1xBet tempt you at all?
Not a hope in hell. Not a chance. You have to remember too, Emma, it's a mile 7.5 to Arkle. Like, you've Irish Panther and your Carnegie in the race, and they're going to go helter-skelter to the first two fences, and I'd be seriously worried. Oops, hold on, we're going too quick here. Like exactly what Adam said there, around the corner you think he was beat, but he has an afterburner. I said this multiple times on your show, Joe's show. He's Shishkin 2.0.
Yes.
I had a tenner for the crack at 25 to 1 for the King George. He's 25 to 1 with Labrooks for the King George. Sorry, 1xBet I should say. But for the King George, for the great recovery, chef's kiss there. But regardless of that, he just reminds me of Shishkin, and I think he's going to be outpaced in an Arkle. I really do. And his jumping is not good enough. I thought that day in Sandown he got away with it, but he only beat Be Aware in the Henry VIII, whatever it's called, at Sandown. So he doesn't make a great shape, but I think over 3 miles. But hopefully now Henderson sees the light that don't take too long to go up to 3 miles with Lulamba like he did with Shishkin. Because as I said to you before, and you won't believe me, that Kopek to board is going to win the Arkle, and we'll leave it at that.
On Wednesday, Paul Ferguson returns to the Final Furlong podcast for another Weatherby's Cheltenham Festival betting guide special, and we're going to focus on the novice chasers. So we'll get Adam Mills' take on the Arkle in full. We'll get Paul Ferguson's take in full as well, and we can have a proper conversation with the Arkle in that.
You still won't admit it, like you still won't admit it that he's going to win it.
It's a horrible preparation, but he's a fantastic horse.
Oh, you saw a video there, didn't you?
I did. Somebody leaked us a video. I couldn't tell you who it was, but somebody had exclusive video evidence of an excellent schooling session. I couldn't reveal the very sensitive nature of those horses. In other news, here's Barry Doyle. Barry, what was your impression of Lulamba?
I agree with both of the lads, to be fair. Now, the only thing I would say about the Arkle this year, could we have less than 5 runners in the race, the way it's cutting up? He's 3 from 3 over fences. I would have bet at odds against that Nicky would have ran the horse, building up to the weekend. And looking at the overall performance, I mean, you've a rock solid 155 to 160 rated horses in here. He's obviously only 5. The ground turning up the way it did would have been a concern for me, just given the fact that he's in open company on this type of ground, on just his 3rd run over fences. When you look at Saint Segala had 20 runs over fences, Lulamba just 2 heading into the contest. So it was the first time jumping at that pace, but like the lad said, heading into an Arkle, Kopek de Boer, he's going to be heading into an Arkle off the back of just 1 chase run, but I think he looked more of a natural at Navan than Lulamba has done in any of his 3 starts. And I just like that form. I mean, I was saying to the lads off air, I was wondering, were we going to have maybe potentially a little bit of a switcheroo? I mean, Willie Mullins, if Flossie Milk goes to Mares, were connections in any way, shape or form thinking about maybe running this horse in the Red Mills trial hurdle and maybe staying over hurdles? You know, the champion hurdle, to me, what's Paul Townend going to ride in the race? I think they're going over fences. We saw the video, lads. He's school brilliant once again, Kopek de Boer. But in terms of Lulamba at the weekend, I agree with what both of the lads said. I think his jumping could be an issue. I think he probably wants further than 2 miles. I think he's ground versatile. He's proven that. But taking a short price for the Arkle wouldn't be for me now, I have to say. And I'll be with Jamie in Kopek de Boer at the moment. Should he go for the race off the back of just 1 chase run, I think coming from the camp he's coming from, it's probably a tip in itself that he's going to be the one to take all the beating. And it wouldn't surprise me if they flip-flopped in terms of favouritism closer to the time.
Guys, he can't. Kopek can't go off favourite for the Arkle, surely. Can he?
He will, of course.
1 chase start. No run since November. By the time the race comes around, he won't have run for 113 days. He blew out at Punchestown in Grade 1 company. Yeah, he beat Romeo Coolio. And Barry Connell thinks William Money is a champion hurdle horse. Salvator Mundi didn't run his race at all. Tutti Quanti was... Paul Nicholls is at pains to point out he's a backward type. Rancy came out won a Grade 1. I don't know. I don't get it. I think that Arkle is ripe for an upset. None of you, though, are with Lulamba. We'll talk more about Kopek de Boers in future shows. And like I said, it's been a while since a 5-year-old won the Arkle, including, it's a little bit of history repeating. Mashbird won the Triumph Hurdle, goes into the race after a wide margin win. He's a 5-year-old, boom, gets beaten. This fella gets beaten in a Triumph Hurdle. He's a wide margin winner coming into this. He's a 5-year-old. Is he going to be able to overcome it? You decide. He's a pretty short price favourite with 1xbet for the Arkle right now. Before we give you the competition details, let's talk about Steel Alley, who won the Kingmaker Novices Chase. It's a race that was won by Edward Stone and Voipur Estedes, the aforementioned, back in the day before they went on to win the Arkle. He's a very nice horse, Adam Mills, he says, trying not to be patronising in any way. He's 3 from 3. It's great placing from Sam Thomas. Can this horse win an Arkle?
No, he can't win an Arkle, I don't think. I think he's lovely. I think he's a really top-class novice chaser. And I think if the old Turners were still around, I'd be sort of far more interested in him over 2.5. But this was a good performance. He's a rated 150. He's going to get another £3 or £4 for this. 10 leg beating, £5 given away to Mirabad. Mambo number 5 didn't run his race, but that's not surprising. Mambo number 5 just isn't fast enough for these small field races. He needs big pace to aim at, real stretch of stamina. I don't know. What do they do with Steel Ally? Do you run in the Jack Richards under a big weight and get the right trip? Or do you drop in and go for the Arkle and take the chance? I think you'd probably run in the Arkle because I think he's shown that he can jump really well, and I think he could well run into a place. I think he's going to be sort of running in a lot of these Grade 2s. He's probably quite a good bet for next year's Game Spirit if that comes around at Newbury. But I just think the Arkle and the old course is not going to suit.
This was a mark of 150 for him. Fair enough, it's not a handicap, but it's giving you a fair idea of the level that he can get to. Maybe he can do an Edward Stone, Jamie. Maybe he can. But I'd be surprised if he was good enough to win the Arkle.
If he was to win the Arkle, I think I meant exactly what you said, Edward Stone. It'd have to be a complete pace collapse from Irish Panther and Carnegie if they're in the race, right? And everything else falls asunder, like Lulamba doesn't go to Gallop, maybe falls to Kopek, doesn't get round or something like that, would he have a chance in an Arkle? That's just me. He jumped well. I'd always thought he was going to win the weekend because Mambo number 5 needs further as well, but Mambo number 5 is never going to jump those 5 in a row at Warwick because I think he just needs further. He's got away with it for long enough, and Mirabel was just there to set the fractions basically. So he's a good horse, but I'd be with Adam. Yeah, he'd probably be more of a place chance if the old JLT whatever grade 1 was still there. But I think he's probably handicapped out of it now for Jack Richards. So he's probably going to end up in the Arkle, and he might be placed, but I wouldn't be touching him, no.
Yeah, it's great placing from Sam Thomas. That's £42,000 in prize money. And look, it is an Arkle trial, so you may as well go for it. But effectively, Mambo number 5 didn't run his race. Now, to be fair to Steel Ally, I had a slight question mark, Barry, as to whether or not he was fully effective going left-handed. His record going right-handed is much better. I think it's 3 from 6 compared to up until this race, 1 from 9. But he's blown them away. But he blew them away in a race that was a small field, and Mambo number 5 didn't go for whatever reason.
Yeah, and I think probably 2.5 miles. He's obviously proven over fences over 2 mile 3. The lads are, we're talking about a Jack Richards there, for example. I probably think if the ground turned up on the nicer side, you might want to stretch this horse out. I think, look, he's 150 rated going into the weekend. I mean, how much of a rise are you going to get for beating Mirabad? You've made the point about Mambo number 5. He hasn't turned up, and he's a horse probably that wants further as well. I think ground could be key to this horse. Stepping up to 2.5 miles on softer ground is probably his ideal. He's getting away with it at the moment over 2 miles in small fields. Vincenzo, I think next year, the likes of, at Cheltenham, it'd be interesting to see where he runs this year, because with a view to next year, those, 2.5 mile handicaps, he could be a horse that could turn into one of those type of specials. We saw Vincenzo, of course, for Sam Thomas this season. I think that's probably his level. Winning an Arkle, I'd be surprised. Look, if we did get more than 8 runners, which I doubt we will, I'd still be surprised if this horse ran into a place.
I agree. There was a race at Thurles, the Horse and Jockey Beginner's Chase, which was won by a horse who beat Romeo Coolio by 7 lengths in a Grade 1 last season and is by no risk at all. And is trained by Willie Mullins. Now, a horse with that profile is currently the 5-2 second favourite and considered a good thing for the race by Jaime Wrenn. But this fella is a wild price for the Arkle Chase. And if he was to run in it, he'd be interesting. There is a slight caveat, Adam Mills, just like Ilete Tomp. This fella didn't fire in a Triumph Hurdle and was beaten in a Supreme Novice Hurdle as well. But outside of that, he's been decent. Cappicha Pike has advertised the form from the Chase win. Bombed out behind Romeo Coolio at Christmas, but we all have our theories as to why Willie Mullins' horses weren't running well then. Does Salvator Mundi have a chance of winning a Grade 1 this season? Is it likely to come at Aintree, or could he be an interesting horse for the Arkle were he to go?
He's not on my radar at all. I don't think we learned anything last week. I thought, I'll be careful what I say, I don't want to offend certain jockeys, but I felt it was a case of we'll just let Salvator Mundi win. And so, it was whatever it was, 1-6, jogged around under no pressure whatsoever. I don't think you can use that as evidence that Salvator Mundi has improved over fences. Now, look, maybe he'll come out and really put us wrong in the Arkle. I'm not convinced. And Salvator Mundi does have this habit. And I was lured in a couple of years ago. I thought he and Sergino made their debut in the same race, and I thought Salvator Mundi was the one to take out of it, which perhaps shows what my notes thought at the time. But I also think Salvator Mundi, do you remember when he won that maiden hurdle at Tipperary by like 6 furlongs, however far clear he was? And it was, everyone's like, oh my God, this thing's like, should be 5-4 for the Supreme in June. It's absolute certainty. And he doesn't always back this up. And when he gets his own way and he gets a race run to suit, as he had last week, he looks really good. But I just think Salvator Mundi is quite soft, and I think he'll fold in the pressure cooker of an Arkle. Now, Barry's right. If this really cuts up and Willie perhaps decides I'm not going to run Cargeese, and we're going to throw Salvator Mundi in it because there's nowhere else to really go with him, then, Salvator Mundi could presumably be ridden out the back by Danny Mullins and come home to place. But I think I'd be pretty disappointed if the Donnelly colours win and it's Salvator Mundi, because I think the race will have had to have completely fallen apart to suit him.
And that's the key point here, Jamie, is the Donnellys have got Lulamba, and they may just decide, look, we'll keep this fella for Aintree. This is the same race that Gentleman Demi won before going on to win the Grade 1 at Aintree. He won that little race that happens the Sunday before the Cheltenham Festival as well. That little Grade 3, he took in that race too. That might be what they decide to do with Salvator Mundi. I think he's a nice horse. That was a crap race, and he was entitled to go and win it by a wide margin.
I was saying that race in Evan, the Webster Cup, is it?
That's the one.
Yeah, I think he's just an absolute certainty to win the race. Caliph de Burley won on Grand National Day last year. Because if he just goes out in front in Aintree over 2 miles, exactly what I was going to say, Adam said about Tipperary, he go out in front in that and he won't be caught.
Yeah.
Because if he does, it's soft lead, he won't be beaten on a flat track. I'm serious. Regardless, I know if Thurles is not a flat track, but it doesn't have half the undulations of Cheltenham. I don't think he just doesn't like going up and down hills, so I think he just needs a flat track. So I'd be backing him in Aintree. We'll be backing him. Even if he turns up in the Arkle, I'm backing him now.
Yeah, I agree.
Do you think it was Salvator Mundi's, in the Supreme last year? Do you think it was his running? I mean, there was a 20-length turnaround or reversal in form when you factor in Romeo Cooley. He was so consistent, to be fair. At all the festivals last year, Cheltenham, Aintree. You think it's the flat track?
Yeah, that's just me.
I'm a big fan of Patrick Mullins over fences. Not the biggest fan of him over hurdles. Now, he was second in Gaelic Warrior in a Turners, and he's won Grade 1 hurdle races, to be fair to him, but you kind of knew the second, he was a Moscow Flyer novice hurdle winner. He was at 1 point favourite for the Supreme, and the second Patrick was on him, you knew, he's got no chance. That's over. No disrespect to Patrick Mullins, who has achieved a whole lot more in his life than I have in mine, but yeah, I wouldn't be. If you're holding on to the docket for the Supreme, and then you watch him go and bolt up at Aintree, you must have just been going, what went on there? Okay, we'll talk about a very interesting decision from the Irish handicapper, because plenty of people were expecting the Wall Park to go flying up the handicap rating. Well, the Irish handicapper had a completely different view of his run, and we'll talk about the winner of that race as well in the same colours. First of all, your chance to join us this Sunday at the 1xBet Grand National Trial at Punchestown. 1xBet, the official betting partner of the Final Furlong podcast, and they're taking over sponsorship of a hugely significant race, the 1xBet Trial, a Grand National Trial at Punchestown. There's also a really cool beginner's chase that's a very, very good race over the years. So we've got multiple pairs of tickets to give away. Great days racing at Punchestown. It's always a great day out anyway, but this weekend is going to be particularly good. So we've got pairs of tickets to give away, but at least 2 of you, it could be 3, but at least 2 of you will win access to the owners and trainers and lunch. So a pair of tickets, lunch at the course, access to the owners and trainers. It's the Gravy Train Final Furlong podcast gig. All you have to do, it's free to enter. All you have to do is subscribe to the Final Furlong podcast YouTube channel, which of course you've already done. Subscribe to the 1xBet Ireland YouTube channel. We'll put a link to that in the episode description. So that's just 4 clicks and you're half entered. We can't give it away that simply, though. There's a comment question. Who trained the winner of last year's what is now the 1xBet Grand National Trial at Punchestown? Who trained last year's winner? He has trained multiple winners of the race. Does Jaime Wrenn have a clue? Barry Doyle knows, but does Jaime Wrenn have a clue for it?
The hint's in the question. He's leading the Irish Training Championship.
Don't give it away totally, for goodness sakes.
Jesus, totally. Willie Bunnan.
Fake news, Russian disinformation. Who trained the winner of last year's what is now the 1xBet Grand National Trial? Tell us the winning trainer. Subscribe to the Final Furlong podcast YouTube channel. Subscribe to the 1xBet Ireland YouTube channel. Click both of those. Comment below. We'll announce the winners on Thursday. You and a friend getting a pair of tickets to go to Punchestown this Sunday, plus lunch in the Owners and Trainers Lounge. Of course, the Owners and Trainers access as well. Should be a really fun afternoon. Should be a great day out. Come racing. Consolation prize may very well just be a pair of tickets for you, but at least 2 of you will be joining us for lunch in the Owners and Trainers, courtesy of ourselves and 1xBet. 18 plus only. Terms and conditions apply. Your game, your odds, your 1xBet. Let's go on to the Oscar's brother. One of only 2 horses for Conor King. Daniel was on board, and he's a 6-length winner from the Wall Park, a Grade 1 hurdler, who for some reason, Adam Mills, the IHRB handicapper, has decided, placed in a Grade 2. We'll drop you in the handicap. That was an extraordinary decision from him. So your comments on that, but also what do you think of Oscar's brother?
Well, firstly, I really like Oscar's brother. He's going the right way. He keeps winning. You can't really complain. It's a nice horse. You could certainly see him running well at the festival. Though I know he's got a national entry as well, so maybe that's the plan. I'm not going to say anything on the Wall Park because a couple of weeks ago we had a discussion about handicapping on this show, and yet both Emmet and Jamie decided to absolutely tear into me about how the BHA were biased and they were rigging the handicaps to get the Irish out. And then you see something like this, and you think, really? I mean, I don't.
Calm down now, Langer, Dave.
I don't even know where to start. But now you have the debate.
You could start with 9 or 10. Go on.
What the Irish Handicap is basically doing is saying to the BHA, go on then, give him 147, I dare you. Let's see how competitive you want it to be. I don't know. They're obviously hoping and praying they get into one of the 0 to 145s. Could he have won yesterday? I'm not sure. I think Oscar's brother might have beaten him anyway, but I said he could have got closer. How has he got a pound back? Look at the final furlong sectionals. I'm like, what is going on here? Deary me. But, maybe someone in the HRI office has decided they want to win the National Hunt Chase, and that's where they're going. I'm not sure. If the Wall Park gets a mark of 145 or lower, then we're surely going to be in I know the way you're thinking territory as to what price he goes off.
Yeah.
Because if he gets into either of those handicaps, I could see him being 7-4.
Third in the Stairs Hurdle, fourth in the Grade 1 at Aintree, winner of a handicap off 145, and behind Crambo in a Grade 1 rated 152. And they drop him a pound, Jaime Wrenn. Some game.
Great game, isn't that? Getting back to the winner.
Your move, BHA.
Yeah, your move, BHA. Yeah. Getting back to the winner, I think you need I don't know if he's going to Cheltenham or not, but I think you need a Lampressa here to have him any chance to win a Brown Advisory. I will say that, but he's a good horse. There's no doubt about that. Beat a good horse at the Bramhead as a Punchestown earlier, Cocktail Divid. So the form's not too bad, not too shabby. But the ballpark, from what I saw yesterday, if the British BHA go with 145, he won't run in the Kingmaker. He'll run in the National Hunt Chase. Because Jericho Repne they have for the Kingmaker, and it'll be him for the National Hunt Chase. He got going the way late. I know he's got going late, but I prefer him for a National Hunt Chase, not a Kingmaker. That's just me. But if they give him more than 145, there's no. I can't. He might run in the Ultimate, but Irish have a terrible record on it. That's besides the point. I don't. If they go over the 145, I don't think he'll go to Cheltenham. No, but I put him in the Ultimate in because you'd have a chance off 147, 8 anyway, but they won't. But if he gets into if he gets the 145, it'll be National Hunt Chase. I think he'll run now. That's just me at the moment.
I was going to mention the Ultimate. Would that be a potential race for him? Now, Irish horses have an absolutely brutal record in the Ultimate for whatever reason. But whichever handicap he ends up in, Barry, he's going to be very interesting.
Yeah, and I think the key point is he's done this on Saturday and run as well as he did on ground that's probably not his ideal. I think, heavy ground, I think this horse is going to be nicer, has been nicer. His form has shown that on a little bit of nicer ground as well. So we're talking about handicap marks here. It was only a 4-runner contest. The winner, your proper old-fashioned chaser, rated 135 over hurdles. He's improved a stone already over fences. There could be more to come, but in terms of a Brown Advisory, I'm not sure he'd have the class to be winning something like that. Maybe they might look at an Irish National. I think at the moment with him, they're making hay while the sun is shining, and maybe something at Navan next season, like a Tri-Town Chase. Could that be the early part of the season? Could be that something? Could that be something that they might look at? I'm not sure he'd quite have the class to win a Brown Advisory, but best of luck to connections there. But the Wall Park. You're talking about his rating over hurdles, obviously third in a Stairs hurdle. I would agree with Jamie in that the National Hunt Chase, if there was one of the two handicaps that, if he did happen to squeeze in to one of those, I think the National Hunt Chase, given the fact that his sole victory, I think at Cheltenham, did come on the old course, and I think extreme distances beyond even 3 miles and a quarter is probably what he wants. Eye-catching run. I have my doubts he'll get in though.
Yeah, that's the other question. Is he actually going to get there? He needed a big performance to be able to get into one of these handicaps. But it's that fine line of, well, you need him to not go over the 145, but you also need him to be high enough that he actually qualifies for these races. National Chase means Mark Walsh can ride him, which would be obvious advantage. Jericho Durepine just seems to be either the Frankie Tight-Lips plan, don't talk about it too much, or he's become a wise guy horse. I'm not really sure, but wherever the Wall Park goes at Cheltenham, he's going to be very, very interesting. As is back over hurdles, Sober Glory. I should point out, Better Days Ahead and Stellar Story were first and second that race last year. Both of them would go on to place in the Brown Advisory, but they swapped it around. Speaking of Cheltenham form being replicated after a race at the weekend, Alfaroff won the race at Newbury before going on to win the Supreme Novice Hurdle that Sober Glory just won in a time that was at least 3 seconds quicker than Tutti Quanti. Admittedly, the ground to become significantly worse potentially in the William Hill Hurdle later on that afternoon. He's absolutely bolted up, Adam Mills, and off the final turn I wasn't entirely certain if he was going to last it out, but in the end he just pours right away from that Dan Skelton horse who he had beaten previously. Don't know what happened to him on his second hurdle start, but it doesn't really matter because this is the real Sober Glory. And 16-1 for the Supreme Novice Hurdle, but 1xBet is a price that really interests me.
Doesn't interest me in the slightest. So
Why?
Maybe someone else is seeing something I'm not. What I see is a horse who's won on tracks with long galloping straights where he's just been able to get into a rhythm in front and gallop them into submission. On heavy ground, the winning distances are massively exaggerated. And I think we saw that with Tutti Quanti. I don't think anyone thinks Tutti Quanti is a 170 horse. So therefore, you've got to adjust the handicapping appropriately. Sober Glory is a really nice horse, but surely Aintree is where they go. I just think Sober Glory needs a nice long straight where he can really open up and lengthen. And in the Supreme, I'd be a little bit worried about him coming down the hill. I know he's won at Chepstow, but I think we could probably agree most of Sober Glory's best performances have come at Chepstow and Sandown. Chepstow and Newbury, which have long straights. Galloping tracks, but long straights. The Supreme, where they sort of come down the hill, you jump the second last, and then it all develops into a sort of a dash to get over the last. I'm not sure he's quick enough. And he just, maybe I'm wrong, but I just think Old Park Star will absolutely travel all over this lad. And I think if they were really sensible, they'd wait for Aintree.
Oh, okay. Wait for Aintree, Jaime Wrenn, or go for the Supreme Novice Hurdle. Does he have a chance?
No chance of the Supreme not wanting to be placed. Will cry wolf when he sees the corner. What's this? But exactly what Adam says, 2 long straights in Chepstow and Newbury. I think the flatter the better for him. Because if you go back and watch his race at Chepstow when he beat Cadistral, hung badly left up the straight there, coming down the little dip there in the middle of the straight in Chepstow. Wouldn't be loving that. He needs a flat track. He's Aintree. But he's Aintree in the Merseys. The Mersey 2.5 miles. I wouldn't be in love with him at 2 miles at Aintree because the ground's going to be quicker. Surely body's going to be quicker than Aintree by that time of year. But if it's a little bit quicker, I'd prefer him in the Mersey over 2.5 miles. That's just me from what I saw on Saturday. But I back him for Cheltenham. God, you want to be a brave man to back him for Cheltenham.
Barry Doyle, your thoughts on Sober Glory?
Well, I'm the brave man because I've just backed him today for Cheltenham.
Barry Doyle! Barry Doyle! That's what we love.
I'm a massive
People seeing the same thing, but a completely different range of opinions. Explain. Why have you backed him?
Take that
I
back.
get the whole exaggerated distance on really testing ground, but he couldn't have been more impressive. And I suppose in that sort of middle part of the race as well, you're looking at the Supreme Novices Hurdle. This is a proper horse, lads. I'm telling you this. Look at the way I love how neat he is over his hurdles, how he attacks his hurdles. You mentioned the run at Sandown. You have to draw a line through that. I mean, it just wasn't his running. I mean, if you're looking at collateral form lines with Hurricane Pat there and trying to tie it in with Old Park Star, you just have to draw a line through that. Look at, obviously, the Skelton horse here. 27 lengths, albeit, it was on testing ground, and the second was probably eased. But, he's obviously carried more weight. Look at how, I suppose, when he has been asked to quicken on that ground, how he's come away from the second. I just thought it was a really, really smart performance. And I think 50 yards to the line as well, when the horses were tiring. On the clock, it obviously is a very, very good performance. But I think this fella now, if the ground is on the softer side, and I think 7 of the last 10 years has either been soft on the Tuesday or heavy ground. I'm not playing the forecast here because we could have good to soft ground or we could have quick ground. But we're not... we can't dismiss Sober Glory, I believe. And I think he's going to be a horse that's going to shorten. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw single figures. I'm a massive fan, by the way, of Old Park Star. When he won at Cheltenham, I have a huge regard for that horse. But I just think it's a price thing with me. I think you're looking at the horse at 16-1, Sober Glory versus Old Park Star, who's 2-1. To me, El Kairos, I'd have question marks about his jumping and the overall form, the champion bumper form from last season at the festival. the form, if you look at, I suppose, at the form from Turles as well, wouldn't blow you away. Talk as a horse have a lot of regard for. I just wonder, if you look at the Supreme, it tends to favour horses who are up there on the pace. Sober Glory will be on the pace. So will Old Park Star. I think the two Irish horses, doesn't appear to be a Willie Mullins horse that's going to lead or Dalier for me, just wouldn't be good enough at this point.
Yeah.
Either would King Rasco Grey. It's a price thing. I just think he's been a little bit disregarded because we're looking at heavy ground at Newbury, because he hasn't, won a listed company or graded company as of yet. He's had, obviously, 3 nice, 3 wins, 3 from 4 over hurdles. He's 6 from 7 in his career. I genuinely believe that if the ground was on the softer side and this fella is leading, turning for home, I think it'll take a good one to pass him. He will devour the hill. Stairs win Supremes. We saw that in the past. I think he's very good. So I'd be completely against the theory that he won't place anyway. I think he'll hit the frame.
Yeah, I agree with you. He has the highest top speed figure in the race. And look, you can debate the merits of those statistics all you want, but he does have. He
beat Talk the Talk at a bumper, didn't he?
He did, and he's after winning novice hurdles by 12 lengths, 13 lengths, and 27 lengths. Admittedly, he's beating the same horse from Chepstow at Newbury, but he's been sent off 2-1 on, 7-4 on when he's blown out behind Hurricane Pat, who then comes out and wins. And
just a correction, Emmet. Just a correction. It was the Skelton horse, who's been beaten by 27 lengths on heavy ground, actually beat Talk the Talk in a bumper at Newbury back in March. There's a small little bit of a crossover in terms of the form. I know it's obviously was in a bumper. We're talking hurdles here. But Sober Glory, to my eye, unbeaten in bumpers. I just think he's a terrific jumper. He's a fantastic mind. And I think he stays well, which is what you need to do in a Supreme. I think he's loads of boot for the Supreme.
Yeah, I agree. And you can debate the strength and depth of the betting market these days and how much it takes to move a horse. We were talking about this race on Thursday. I'm pretty sure all 4 of us were in agreement that we couldn't understand how this horse was 6-4. And George Gorman specifically said he should be 6-4 on. They sent him off 3-1 on. 2-1 on Hurdle's debut. 7-4 on for the race at Sandown where he blows out. 13-2 on a month later when he comes back and wins by 13 lengths. And 3-1 on as though defeat was out of the question, despite the fact he was carrying a penalty in heavy ground. And Cobden rode him like, you're absolutely the best horse in this race and you will gallop this lot into submission. His top speed, his RPR, his top speed is higher than everything else he's going to face from that performance, and his RPR is right up there as well. His RPRs are 130 for his wins, 130, 139, and 148. Old Park Star is 152. Okay, he should be. It's an 18-length win of Hurricane Pass.
If he was trained by Nicky Henderson and he won, and if he was trained, or Dan Skelton, for example,
massively shorter.
What price would it be?
Massively shorter. El Kairos 124. 5s? 6-1? There's no way he's 16s anyway. I think he's a fascinating runner for the race. And there's a fair few question marks over quite a few of those, with the exception probably of Old Park Star. He's a really good horse. Whether he wins the Supreme or not, I'm not sure. The 2 boys aren't convinced. Barry Doyle and I very much are. I think 16-1 is very, very fair about him. We'll go to Hottie Calor. Oh, it was so obvious. What was I doing? Long press for a trainer who hasn't had a winner since 19 dickety-doo. What was that nonsense about? Native River won this in 2017 before going on to place in the Gold Cup. Then it was his only race in 2018 before he went on to win the Gold Cup. He was a Welsh Grand National winner. Synchronized was a Welsh Grand National winner. They both went on to win the Gold Cup. Can Hottie Calor do the same thing at a Mills?
I don't think so. I think you can kind of draw comparisons between them because of the way that Native River's campaign went. But if you think about the Native River Gold Cup, at the time we thought, wow, this is one of the best Gold Cups we've ever seen. And then Might Bite turned out to be Might Bite. And in hindsight, that probably wasn't quite as good. And it was Native River ground that out. Hottie Calors will lead in the Gold Cup. I don't really see any scenario where he's not on the front end. He'll get a lot of these in trouble. He'll stay forever. But I just wonder if he's quite got the class. If you look at the horses he's actually beaten, he's yet to beat a horse where I think, oh, they could be a Gold Cup contender. And as admirable as Long Press is, and as well as he runs, and as honest as he is, he made loads of mistakes under Charlie Deutsch, and he was still in with some sort of chance jumping the third last. And that to me just makes me think maybe this wasn't the deepest Denman chase. Haiti Kalur's jumping kept him in front. And even when Haiti Kalur's makes a mistake, the good thing about him is he just snaps back on, gets back into his rhythm. It doesn't seem to affect him. He's a wonderful horse. He's a really good galloper. He'll get a few of these in trouble, but I think it would need a very attritional end-to-end gallop for him to win a Gold Cup. Now, he might get that, but I think let's imagine coming down the hill, Factor Fire with 3 legs back and within touching distance. Haiti Kalur just gets absolutely battered by the pace. He's a wonderful horse. I really hope Rebecca Curtis gets a place out of him. It'd be wonderful to see, but I can't see him winning it. I just don't think he's got the class. I think he's a grinder, and I think you probably need a bit of class to win a Gold Cup these days.
Probably do. And Factor File was deadly in the Irish Gold Cup, Jaime Wrenn. But if it's soft ground, he's going to stay. He's a Cheltenham Festival winner. He's an Irish Grand National winner, a Welsh Grand National winner. He's coming to this in the back of a Denman Chase win by a wide margin. Wouldn't dismiss him.
I wouldn't dismiss him, but yeah, I think he'd be doing well to get a place. Yeah, he needs to be in front, obviously. He needs to get a soft lead, because I think if he doesn't get a soft lead out in front, he sucks. So if he's not in front of the Gold Cup, and if he's out the back in the middle of the field, he won't even be. He'd be pulled up like he was at Haydock. He needs to be in front. You saw that in the Welsh Grand National. You saw last year in the National Hunt Chase, he was in front all the way around, same as the Welsh National. I think he needs to wait with the year with Galloping the Champs when his second Gold Cup. It was bottomless that year when he beat Jerry Clamp to have any chance of winning the Gold Cup. He's an admirable horse, but he's not quite as classy as Native River. That's just me. I thought exactly what Adam says. I thought he'd go further away from It didn't really. Do you know what I mean? That's just me. But look, if he gets placed, would it shock me? No. Would I be backing him? No. But look, he has a chance, obviously. And look, fair play to him. He's improved up from, he was in mid 130s last year for National Chase. Now he's up to the 160s nearly. So, yeah, you got to like the progression, but I just don't think he's fast enough either with it, no.
It's also great to see Rebecca Curtis with the Cheltenham Festival winner and an actual chance of going and winning the Gold Cup. Barry Doyle. It's probably worked out better for them that they ended up missing the Irish Gold Cup because Factor File was so good. Who knows where he would have finished that day, but he would have had a really hard race, whereas that's heavy ground. You're going up against a good horse in Lampresse, but he's in the veterans territory now. That might actually bring him on nicely again, and he's going to be on the front end. He's going to be the pace angle, as Adam said earlier on. He's an interesting runner for sure, but does he have the class of a roaring back to form Gallop on the Champ or an on form Django by Factor File Jukebox Man?
No, but you might need to have the class of a Gallop in the Champ when he was in his pomp to win this year's Gold Cup. It looks a wide open contest. We're talking about Haiti Kalur in the mid 130s heading into the National Hunt Chase, and massive fan of this horse, what he done last season. Heading into Fairy House, I think the big question was, how would he take that run in the National Hunt Chase? Such a grueling race. We know that, traditionally, and the fact that he takes his racing so well, Haiti Kalur, running off 141 in Ireland to win the National like he did, I thought was a savage performance, especially after the run in the National Hunt Chase. And I remember heading into Fairy House last season with Rebecca Curtis on the Champ podcast, building up, and she was confident of a big run. And we were at that point in time, having the conversation about could this horse run in a Gold Cup next season. And I have to say, I was confident he would make up into a horse that would definitely compete in a Gold Cup. Whether he's going to win it is another thing. That's the question you're asking. Jamie's talking about the easy lead. Interesting at Haydock, he never had a lead. Didn't line up. Was interesting because I think Sean Bowen initially was looking to make the running, but got caught in his heels a little bit at the start and ended up, running from out of where he would have out of his ground and where I'm sure Sean Bowen wanted to line up and pulled up. I mean, was that really his running? I think again we have to draw a line through that performance. The weekend, he's done what he's had to do here. Heavy ground, he's won a good to soft ground. He seems pretty ground versatile. I think it was, pretty testing ground, heavy ground, if my memory serves me correctly, in the Irish National. So I think he's ground versatile. He's done it on both types of grounds. Whether he's quite classy enough to win a Gold Cup, I'd be surprised if he didn't run his race. if he is ridden prominent. And I also would be surprised if he's not banged there. Whether he's good enough is another thing. I suspect there could be one or two, maybe that little bit more classy, like to say, but he's entitled to take space in the lineup. And he's a fascinating runner and a really likeable runner as well, Emmet.
You're a really likeable fella, too, for that matter. And you do a great podcast. The Champ.ie podcast. When is the next episode coming out?
In about 2 hours' time.
Oh, excellent stuff. All right, so head on over to Barry's YouTube channel, Champ.ie. Who's the guest today?
Jerry McGrath.
Excellent.
We'll ask him about Django Bay. He's the one I actually am leaning towards in the Gold Cup at the moment as we're talking. Massive fan of that horse. And spoiler alert, I believe that's his tip for the Road to Cheltenham Challenge today. And also I've tipped Sober Glory. So we'll see how we get on. I'm going to have to love yous and leave yous, lads.
Never mind, you don't actually have to listen to the episode because you've been given all the juicy info now.
There we are.
Barry, you're a gentleman and a scholar. We did the Yes No Game show for the Grand National last year. Please, God, we're going to do something similar and hopefully we'll have you on again before the Cheltenham Festival.
Lads, thanks so much and we'll talk soon. Enjoy the show.
Might see you at Goran on Saturday. Well, I won't because I'm doing an American podcast, but best of luck at Goran Park on Saturday as well for the Red Mills trial.
Imagine if we woke up tomorrow morning and Copic de Boer was entered. In the Red Mills.
Do it, Willie. Do it for the crack, Willie.
I think Adam would be happy. Would you, Adam?
I will be bouncing on my 50-1 for the champion hurdle, but I can't see it happening.
Just to send Twitter into mayhem. It's Ballyburn I want to see entering that race, but a bit of crack, Willie. Go on, Willie. Do it for the crack. Barry Doyle from the excellent Champ.ie podcast. We'll talk to you again very, very soon in the Final Front podcast and make sure to
enjoy the chat. Talk soon.
And you, my friend, make sure to check out the Champ.ie podcast as well, even though the gravy has already been given out. Speaking of gravy, this weekend, Sunday afternoon, is the 1xBet Grand National Trial at Punchestown. It's 1xBet's first year sponsoring the race, first time sponsoring Punchestown as well. Huge commitment to Irish racing. Big sponsors of the Curragh, official betting partner of the European champions Paris Saint-Germain, of Barcelona as well. Your chance to join us this Sunday for the 1xBet Grand National Trial. Also, a whole host of other good races. There's a really good novice chase that day as well. Very interesting bumper too. The bumper won by Game of Inches is on that card as well this year. So we've got multiple tickets to give away. Your chance to win, plus at least two of you and a friend, will get access to the owners and trainers and lunch on Sunday afternoon in the beautiful owners and trainers facility at Punchestown Racecourse. How do you win? Very, very simple. Hit the subscribe button to the Final Front Podcast YouTube channel, which obviously you've already done. Haven't you? Hit the subscribe button to the 1xBet Ireland YouTube channel as well. The link will be in the episode description for you. And we can't do it that simply. That's only 4 clicks. Can't just give away tickets that easily. There has to be a question. The question is, who was the winning trainer of last year's 1xBet Grand National Trial? Hey, Adam Mills, who currently leads the Irish Trainers' Championship?
Don't know. It's not as important as the English one.
Oh!
You all laughed at...
You should take that back. You're a disgrace. You're all in the bottom of the barrel now. Come out with that sort of a statement.
To hear this stuff coming out from Adam Mills. Who's the winning trainer of last year's 1xBet Grand National Trial, or at least what is now the 1xBet Grand National Trial? It was a different betting company last year. Comment below, hit the subscribe button on the Final Front Podcast YouTube channel and the 1xBet YouTube channel. We'll announce the winners on Thursday. At least two of you and a friend, so 2 tickets for at least 2 of you to the owners and trainers and the free lunch. Plus, there'll be runner-up prizes of a pair of tickets for Sunday afternoon's racing as well. It's better if you're in Ireland, obviously. But hey, if you want to fly over at your own expense, good luck to you. Fantastic stuff. Comment below, and we'll announce the winners on Thursday before the weekend preview. It's courtesy of ourselves and 1xBet. 18 plus, gambleaware.org. All the usual stuff. Gamble responsibly. Your game, your odds. Your 1xBet. Let's go on to the next race with Tutti Quanti. Tutti Quanti absolutely turned what is now the William Hill Hurdle into a complete procession. He's won by 18 lengths off top weight, 15 lengths to be precise about it. It's an Aintree handicap winner in behind him. Wellington Arch. Fav was a really good horse too. They're talking about the champion hurdle for him, Adam Mills. I doubt he is champion hurdle class, but if it was a bog in an open year for the champion hurdle, why wouldn't Paul Nicholls take a swing?
Yeah, can he win it? I don't think he'll win a champion hurdle, but I think he could. It's not impossible if he could place in it. You know, like last year we sort of said, he was the only British runner in the Supreme, and he actually ran reasonably well. He finished quite strongly in the Supreme. I just don't know how to weigh him up. But he's made his way up through handicaps, and we're talking about him. We've talked about Alexei. Maybe he's taking the step into a champion hurdle. I can see why they're going to, because let's face it, whatever the handicapper does later this week, it's going to put him off top weight in any handicap he runs in from now on. I looked at it and thought, would they run in the champion hurdle? I think they might be tempted to. I don't think he can win it. I think he might place. I kind of, in my head, was thinking, if he's this good, do they not want to think about something like the Scottish champion hurdle and just think, can we get him in a race like that? They've got a decent record up there. It's not impossible to think he could get rolling. I mean, this was brilliant, really good performance, but I think in the cold light of day, if you took Tutti Quanti out of the race and then you look at that William Hill hurdle or Schweppes or whatever it's called, I think you'd be looking and going, geez, this was a bad race. Favour finished
bad race. You sounded Irish there, boy.
I know. It's you fellas, you're rubbing off on me. But
he's hanging around with us too much, Jamie.
I sort of looked at some of the data and some of the form. Favour finished third under Heidi Palin. Really good ride from Heidi Palin, but Favour has looked like he's not a racehorse anymore this season and has suddenly finished third. The favourite Let It Rain just a hype horse and then didn't deliver the goods at all. And underneath it all, I thought the Twist and Davis horse ran all right to a point, but didn't really get home on the ground. Tutti Quanti was brilliant, and he's probably going to get a 7, 8, 9 pound whack for that. I would have thought, as lenient as the handicapper would like to be, he's got to reflect the fact that he's absolutely battered them off top weight. I think he's going to eventually end up between a rock and a hard place in that he's going to probably be just too high in the weights to win these handicaps, particularly when the more progressive novices start to get in. But he's also probably going to come up a little bit short, as several of the yards horses has. He reminds me a lot of Rubo in terms of Rubo was really quite progressive, did very well, got to grade 2 level and couldn't go any higher. And I think that's maybe where Tutti Quanti can end up. But look, he's a really nice horse. And to do that on that ground under that weight, regardless of what he was running against, was really impressive. He won't win a champion hurdle.
Six of
Definitely won't win a champion hurdle.
6 of his rivals failed to finish, Jamie, and of the 7 who did finish in behind him, they were all strung out like the washing. Visually, it's an impressive performance, but it's a slower time than Sober Glory, who you boys don't like for the Supreme Novice Hurdle. Barry and I obviously do. Harry was saying, I don't know if he's champion hurdle class, but was also saying that Paul Nicholls was incredibly bullish about him in the lead up to the race. What do you make of it overall?
He just got a soft lead on heavy ground and no way came near him. Do you know what I mean? Form, like, Let It Rain, a high horse. Like, the form behind him is crap. Absolute crap, like. But absolute crap. That's just my opinion, Emmet, to be honest, George, off the side. But, like, he's no chance at a champion hurdle. He won't even be placed. Like, look at him last year in the Supreme. It's like Salvator Mundi. They're what, 5th and 6th, were they around that area? Do you know what I mean? That's undulating tracks. This is flat track. He's a flat track horse. That's all he is. And he gets soft leads and flat tracks on heavy ground. That's all he is. He's a good horse, but he won't be the first three in the champion. Not a hope in hell. Look, best luck to him if they want to go for it. Open enough. People might argue with me saying, it's open enough. There might only be a certain amount of numbers. He might get lucky. But no. That race is terrible. And Adam Mills has definitely shown his age if he's still calling it the Schweppes. Because that was about 30, 40 years ago.
Gold trophy for me. Good old Copeland.
Gold trophy, yeah.
Good old Copeland.
But to make the last point on Adam is that race, quality-wise, has gone way back compared to years ago. Your champion hurdles were on that before. It's just, I don't know, like the field size are getting smaller and smaller for, before you'd have the likes of Essex and all those horses winning this and Gios. You know what I mean? Like those proper horses, Sarkander won it. Do you know what I mean? It's not there anymore. It's just not. That's just me.
Jamie, I was doing a piece for 1xBet about the race last week, and I went back through the record of the race since the year 2000. 30 runner fields. Now, there were some years where it was, 18 runners. There were still big fields, though. And there was class there. You mentioned champion hurdle winners like Brewster Booster. Copeland won this race for Martin Pipe. He was going real well in a champion hurdle when he fell 2 out.
Make a stand.
Obviously, in the 90s, yeah. Essex was a genuine champion hurdle contender after he won the race, as you mentioned. It's hard to know. Look, Adam was saying last year this horse, Tutti Quanti, is an absolute certainty for a handicap of a mark of 128. After his run in the Supreme Novice Hurdle, well, he's just won a handicap of 138, having bolted up in the Jerry Fielding as well. I wouldn't rule it out. There's a weakness in the division now. You keep looking at these races, and you'll look back at Paul Ferguson's excellent work in the Weatherby's Cheltenham Festival Guide, and you'll see what the metric is, what the standard is to reach a certain threshold in a race. And that threshold is dropping every single year. So, I don't know, maybe he can make the leap to Grade 1 glory. Does he do it this season? Don't know, but great training performance from Paul Nicholls and a great ride from Harry Cobden as well. So, hats off to them. In the end, it's easy with the benefit of hindsight. It was all so easy. I don't know how I didn't just get stuck into that fella. I did back Vanillier in the P.P. Hogan Memorial Cross Country Chase. He beats the Gopher. Conflated was back in behind. He'd been beaten by the Isaac Swidham Maneer horse, who was turned over by Panda Boy in a race we'll talk about. In fact, your Dudery was an interesting one for Enda Bulger, who stayed on reasonably well, I would have thought. There'll probably be a little bit of options for him going forward. Vanillier will go for the cross-country chase, arguably unlucky in it a year ago. Adam Mills, it's back-to-back wins in the P.P. Hogan. Where does he rank for you as a Cheltenham Festival contender?
No, not for me. I think I've come to the conclusion Stumptown is a good thing in that cross-country, and I think if Stumptown lines...
Favori de Chamdeau for me, but go on.
No, I looked at... my reasoning is I looked at that cross-country race on Charles Day, and I thought, Favori de Chamdeau at the top weight. Admittedly, he's turned the corner, but at the top weight, he battered that field. And I think Stumptown is a stone better than Favori de Chamdeau. I thought Vanillier was really good. Look, he's clearly very adept. He really handles the Banks course. He's kind of half interesting, but I just, when was the last time Fakadoudery ran a good race? 2023 probably was the last time we really say he was.
Yeah, when he won the Ascot Chase, that was about.
He was a very good horse, but he's been on the go for a very long time. He ran in the Supreme as a 4-year-old. He's in the cross country now because I don't think they really know what else to do with him. And he was sort of staying on a little bit. The Goffer is a nice horse, but just has forgotten how to win. Vanillier is very good. Could he place in that cross country? Absolutely, especially if the ground came up soft. But he's always been quite slow. And actually, that cross country course, because of the way it weaves at Cheltenham in and out, and the constant figure of eights and all that. I mean, last year he nearly went the wrong way. But there is also that sort of scenario where the race develops a little bit later. It's not until they jump those barrel things that it really sort of the pace quickens in, and I could just see something travelling all over him. I'd be very surprised if he won. I think Stumptown will absolutely bury him if he lines up.
Well, he was off 147 last year. Stumptown was off 157. He'll obviously carry significantly more weight this time around, or at least have a higher rating. And Vanillier won this off 141. Right now, Favori de Chamdeau is the one for me in the race, but Keith Dunn, who is going to be on Stumptown, and Keith Dunn, who's got some record in these cross-country races, Jamie, as he showed on Vanillier. And if for some reason Keith was on Vanillier, that would make me a little bit more interested. But I think the top two in the betting ahead of him probably have a bit more of a class edge. I would make a positive note. I would say if you like Desert Moorhouse, the Gopher has boosted that form, and also It's on the Line buried the Gopher on St. Stephen's Day or Boxing Day, whichever one you want to go for, depending on... Well, 71% of you are in the UK watching this, so maybe we should go Boxing Day. Controversial comment for the Irish viewers there. It's on the Line is going to be a very interesting one for the cross country chase on that form too. So overall thoughts on the race?
Yeah, you're going to be put into a false sense of security and think that the Gopher will find you in a race, but I wouldn't be so sure after only been beaten a length and a half. And Fakir Dudery says the same. But you have to remember last year, Emmet, going into the race, regardless of marks, was that he won that race by 15 lengths or something last year. He's only winning by a length and a half this time. He's a bit long in the tooth now from his Albert Bartlett days. That's just me. It's between the top three in the betting. I don't care what anyone says. Now, you might get a shock. Maybe one of them placed from God knows where. But it's between Stumptown, Desert Moorhouse, and Favori de Chamdeau. I know, as you say, Donoghue rides the course unbelievably well, which is, there's no doubt of it. So does Jack Kennedy. So Favori de Chamdeau for me all day, because I think Stumptown will just have too much weight this year. That's just me.
And just briefly, John Gleeson, Jack Gleeson back in action. Panda Boy was a good winner of the 100 chase. He was a good handicapper, and he was sent off very strongly fancied for a Grand National. He's an interesting one for the 100 chase. I prefer It's on the Line to come good at Cheltenham, but I wouldn't be underestimating him either, though, Adam.
Yeah, 100 chase, it wouldn't be my area of expertise particularly. I mean, look, it was a good performance. I think sometimes we get a bit hung up on this race because it was the one that Billaway always used as a prep. And every single person who's ever listened to this podcast has done their conkers on Billaway at some point in their punting career. So, it's true. Yeah, we've all been there. We've all looked at Billaway and thought, he can't get me this time. And then when he did actually win a race, none of us were on. But that's just like, this was all right. I mean, last year's winner, Rye Hill, didn't run the same race as he did. So it's a race that I'll have a look at on the Thursday night before probably and try and work out. But, he's got a chance in the end. And there is that kind of class element sometimes that the Hunter's Chase division has 7 or 8 contenders who would genuinely be 140 plus and the rest are pointers. And Panda Boy falls into the former category. So he'd have a chance.
Yeah, Hunter's Yarn didn't quite fulfill the potential that he had for Willie Mullins, but he's a good horse. And Panda Boy ended up dismissing him. Now, he was on the front end. Maybe Hunter's Yard couldn't quite reel him in the way the race panned out. But again, Jimmy, I just wouldn't underestimate him. I prefer it's on the line for Emmet Mullins and Derry Connor to finally come good at Cheltenham as things stand. But I wouldn't be shocked if he's the big danger to him.
I think he needs that ground that was at Naas the weekend to have any chance in the Fox Hunters. Emmet, I think it was, if it was quicker ground, Hunter's Yarn would probably reverse the form. But there's a Hunter's Yarn you could see actually there the last day. Does he really stay? I know he won points over 3 miles, but they're probably in crawls not having to clue him when he gets there. So, no, I wouldn't be loving it. But exactly, I fell last year for Angel's Dawn, and I said to myself after that race, I said, am I ever going near the Fox Hunters till Friday morning of Gold Cup Day to have a bet in it? And that's what I'll be doing for the foreseeable future. So, nah. Forget about it.
If you know the form really well, if you're very confident, that's fantastic. I remember all the people talking about how Angel's Dawn couldn't be beaten and she was a certainty because she was at Cheltenham, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, not going to fall for that either myself.
Yeah.
That being said, I am very interested in It's on the Line at the moment, but he is shortening the whole time in the betting with 1xBet. You can find out more about the betting for the Fox Hunter or Hunter Chase, whichever term you want to go for, description of the big race on Gold Cup Day. Right after the Gold Cup on the 1xBet website. Click the link in the episode description. It'll take you right to the 1xBet website in Ireland. Speaking of 1xBet, have you entered? If you're in Ireland, you're watching this, you're listening to this, have you entered already to go see the 1xBet Grand National Trial on Sunday at Punchestown? Who trained the winner of the race last year? Comment below. Subscribe to the Final Furlong Podcast YouTube channel. Subscribe to the 1xBet Ireland YouTube channel as well. That's all you have to do. It's free to enter. We're going to give away tickets for at least 2 individual winners. You and a friend get lunch in the owners and trainers and a pair of tickets for the afternoon on Sunday at Punchestown. Plus, there'll be consolation prizes of just a pair of tickets. So only a pair of tickets for you to go racing as consolation prizes. Your chance to win right now. Comment below. We'll announce the winner on Thursday's Final Furlong Podcast weekend preview, where we'll touch on the 1xBet Grand National Trial as well. Your game, your odds, your 1xBet. 18 plus. Only gambleaware.org. Terms and conditions apply as they always do in life. Click the link in the episode description. It'll take you right to the 1xBet website. But comment below who was the winning trainer of last year's 1xBet Grand National Trial, and smash the subscribe button to the Final Furlong Podcast and 1xBet Ireland YouTube channels. All of it there is in the episode description for you. Very briefly, the most significant trial for the Fred Winter was won by Highland Crystal. Munsif for the Charles Burns team finished 3rd. And now favourite for the Fred Winter, Saratoga, finished 2nd. So how far does Saratoga / Munsif win the Fred Winter by? Adam Mills.
Yeah, we have a bit of clairvoyancy on this show because I think 3 weeks ago we said, I think Saratoga might run in the race at Naas and he might just not quite get there to win.
Hold up.
You all laughed at me. Well, I have to say, you're not laughing now, are you?
But I actually, to quote Johnny Deneen, I heard him say this 2 weeks ago, he's like, half the horses in this race are plot jobs and they can't all win. And I think that is the way I'm going to have to approach the Fred Winter.
Shout out Johnny Deneen.
We've all seen Saratoga, but surely Charles Burns has pulled JP's pants down here, hasn't he? And they've looked and gone, well, everyone thinks Saratoga's a plot. So if we don't get too close to Saratoga, the British handicapper has got to go, right, Saratoga's going to get, I'd guess 1-3-2, something like that. Well, if Munsif's 8 lengths behind, he can only get 1-2-5, 1-2-6, something like that. I think the Burns team had a plan on Saturday, and I think their plan was don't get too close to Saratoga, and if we can keep a right distance between us and them, we'll be the right side of the weights when we get to March. Of the two, I prefer Munsif. I think Saratoga will be overbet, but I can certainly see the case. But I think actually, if you really dig down and look into that Fred Winter, I mean, my goodness. I could only find about 2 horses that I thought had been honestly campaigned. So it was kind of just a case of, do you know what it is? But this is the great.
Very good.
You know,
you're learning, boy. You're learning.
I am, but this is the great thing, that the Fred Winter is the only handicap at Cheltenham where you only need 3 runs to get a mark.
Mm-hmm.
Unsurprisingly, every single trainer on the list has looked at that and gone, oh, yeah, that's a good point. And there's loads of horses in here who you think they've had their 3 runs and then they're like, oh, we're going to manage the mark a little bit. You know, there's a few at the start of the season that you thought, well, maybe that could have. There's one in there called Dignam, who runs in Paul Burns' colours, who ran in the Grade 1 at Ortoy, wasn't good enough there. He's got quite what looks a reasonable mark. You know, there's 1 or 2 like One Horse Town who, and you know, I can't imagine Highland Crystal's going to run in this race, but it's in the betting. But there are 1 or 2 in there you think, well, you're going to end up in the Fred Winter because you're not good enough to run in the Triumph, but your ratings are going to make the weights for everybody else. I'd be looking at this, and my plan is to sort of a couple of weeks before the festival, when we got the entries out, is just go, right, what's rated below 125? And what do I think has got a stone in hand? And that's where I'm going to start. I don't think Saratoga is going to be under 125 in any world. And I don't think he's going to have a stone in hand. And more to the point, I think he's going to be about 7-2 favourite.
Yeah.
Because I just think the momentum is just going to build behind this horse, in which case I'm going to try and take an each-way swing. Saturday's trial was probably the best Fred Winter trial. I thought the winner's really nice, actually. I think that winner's quite a smart horse. But then I think everyone will see that, and I think Saratoga got too close. So I'd much rather be trying to look for something perhaps 8 lengths behind Saratoga as my Fred Winter bet at this stage.
I'm very interested in the horse who finished completely last, Genealogy. And some of these Justin Carthy horses are going to be interesting. There's Lord Byron as well, who ran well at Cheltenham. There's Winston Jr., who everyone's talking about. There's the horse who maybe got a little bit too close to him the other day as well. I think they're all interesting, but it wouldn't. That's the 3rd run for Genealogy. It wouldn't surprise me at all if he took a big step forward. And he's got some interesting form on the flat, including beating Lord Byron and getting within 6 lengths of Delacroix. He'd need to improve significantly on the back of this, but that's not impossible. Biker and Jazzy Matty were beaten in this race before finishing 1st and 2nd for Gordon Elliott and Charles Burns back in the day, and the late great Michael O'Sullivan, God rest him. Highland Crystal apparently is going to go, although there is a Trainers' Championship to be won, so it might be better for Gordon Elliott to keep that horse in Ireland, and he's massively in contention for it. So you were applauding along to the Munsif monologue there from Adam Mills. Is he the one for the Fred Winter for Jaime Wrenn right now?
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. And exactly what I'm saying, Saratoga has been overbet. 5-1 Saratoga and 16-1 still Munsif. I know who's the value. I don't know who's the better bet. And especially if we look back, I think we said it on the show already, Emmet, in the last couple of months. Like Leopardstown, he travelled around the bend, and he looks at Philip Byrne goes, we're in front here. And then he runs in the race, then proactive a macho man, not trying a yard. And then Philip Byrne was
You broke up there, Jamie. Didn't quite hear you clearly.
Yeah, exactly. So, do you know what I mean? But no,
the views of Jaime Wrenn are not necessarily those of the Final Furlong podcast or anybody he's ever met ever.
You need a step. You need a step chair to look at me in the face. But anyway, yeah, many people do. It's very cold up here, by the way. But anyway, but I will say, all jokes aside, is that he looks a better jumper regardless of Saratoga. Regardless, I know Mark Walsh is going, but like he just looks a more natural jumper anyway. Emmet, to be honest with you, and he's still a massive bet at 16-1, and that's just me. But like if he's in the early 120s or mid 120s, and Saratoga's in the early 130s, it makes no sense to me. But that's what's going to happen. So, Munsif is by far the one to back at this moment in time. Of the English, maybe Winston Jr., but he's over bet now as well. So,
yeah,
I think it's sad to say. I think it's between Saratoga and Munsif, and that's it. Forget about the rest at this present moment in time.
We'll see closer to the time, and obviously we'll do hopefully our handicap specials, and please God, we'll have the big Tuesday preview for on the Final Furlong podcast as well. But right now, And it's looking like Munsif is very interesting. Not dismissive of Saratoga, brother to the late Brazil, obviously, who won the race as well. Somehow managed to beat Gaelic Warrior. So the pedigree is there for him to go and do it. But
we're still talking about that years after. Give it a rest.
Everybody's talking about. Everybody has spotted him now, and he's going to be favoured for the race. So at this point, you can just, unless some other McManus horse comes along and he somehow drifts for the race. Speaking of the McManus team, anybody who took a short price about Bambino Fever thinking she was a certainty, do they have something to worry about? By the horse who beat her before, who's now beaten another Willie Mullins filly, Place de la Nation, who's probably a bit slow by 9 lengths and done it pretty easily for Mark Walsh and Gordon Elliott. Adam.
Yeah, I think they do. I don't know, mate. Maybe, if Bambino Fever hadn't won the champion bumper, we'd all be going, but this Old School Outlaws beating her. So why isn't... I don't really understand, and the market is starting to correct itself. Now I think they should be, if not identical prices, then very similar. Because Old School Outlaw has done absolutely nothing wrong. She's beaten Bambino Fever. And, she outstayed Bambino Fever when she beat her. And yet she's still a bigger price. I thought this was impressive. I'm not sure it was the deepest race that she won, but she still won it. She's a definite danger. I was trying to look through that race to sort of see is there anything I sort of wanted to have a whack at a massive price, but I don't think there is. I don't think there's too many dangers below that. 1 or 2 might improve for running on the new course, but you'd have to look at this and think, surely they should be the same price, because Old School Outlaw actually looks the more natural hurdler to me. And I know that she's already managed to hold off Bambino Fever once. I think Old School Outlaw will be in front of Bambino Fever on the run down to the last. And if she is, I'm not entirely sure that the Willie Mullins also go by. If you offered me now and said you've got to back one of them, I'd back the one at a bigger price. Because I just think they should be 7-4 joints, and they're not.
Breaking news, ChatGPT has just written an article. Sorry, Racing Post has written an article. Kopek de Boards squealing after explosive schooling session. An owner predicts Lulamba might struggle to keep up in Arkle Showdown.
Correct.
Yeah, that worked out real well for Brian Drew, didn't it? With Final Demand.
You keep going on about you.
Sometimes you're better off to just let the horses do the talking themselves. I would fully agree with everything Adam has just said there. I really like Bambino Fever, but that champion bumper form, we said this early in the season, you want to be with the horses in behind as opposed to the ones who are up towards the top. Now, that doesn't mean that she can't win, and she's a very nice horse, but Old School Outlaws beaten her once before. She may very well go and do it again. And there's also Zanouche, who I don't know if the Mare's Novice Hurdle would suit her, but she's been sent off a very long odds-on favourite, and Brian Hayes had a pretty easy afternoon for himself, and Colin Murphy looks like he's a really good horse, Jamie.
He does. Nice horse. Wouldn't be lovely for the Mare's Novice. I think it needs that ground, Emmet.
Yeah.
She was well backed, do you know what I mean? But I think it needs real top ground. I like Old School Outlaw, but she looks like more of a chaser than Bambino Fever to me at this present moment. She jumps like a chaser. That's just what I saw the last day. The only other horse I'd fancy in that race was like at a bigger price for the Mare's Novice would be Carrigmore and Spruce. Is 16-1 for it. But it's between the top two, Bambino and Old School Outlaw, sorry. I would slightly disagree with them because I think the two of them coming to the last, I think Bambino Fever run away from Old School. It'll be tight, but I think this Bambino Fever will have just a bit more in the locker. That's just my opinion at this moment in time. 15-8, 7-2. I get the anger that Adam said 7-2. I understand that part, but I still think Bambino will reverse that form, yeah.
Okay, very, very briefly, Dino Blue won the same race, the Opera Hat Mare's Chase. What a horse she was. The Opera Hat Mare's Chase, it's a 1-2-3 for JP. She beats Bioluminescence. She should be winning. She's 8-1 on. Does she appeal to you at all for the Mare's Chase to go back-to-back, Adam?
Not really. I don't. The price didn't particularly appeal to me. The other thing I would say is kind of at the weight. Technically, the Bioluminescence could come out on top because Dino Blue's rated 159, Bioluminescence rated 142. Was getting weight, beating 11 lengths. There's not a lot. I don't think we learn anything when a horse wins at 128, other than that they're a racehorse. I mean, I can see the caterer in the Mare's Chase. And I think we're all looking, every year we all look at the Mare's Chase and think, there's going to be something this year. I mean, how many times did Allegory Devassi get backed in a couple of days beforehand and it just didn't work? But that's just what happens. Actually, the Mare's Chase is not that deep. only by night would be half interesting, but I'm not sure she really stays that far. I mean, Spindlebury, if she hadn't run in the Irish Gold Cup, would still be favourite for this race, in my opinion. But because she blew out in the Irish Gold Cup, she's drifted. I've no interest in taking that kind of price about Dino Blue. I don't think she'll be that much shorter on the day. And you don't really know the makeup of the field yet. You might get something like July Flower or Diva Luna or even the Big Western if it came up heavy being redirected here, in which case it changes. Look, Dino Blue will almost certainly be in the 3, which is a really brave thing of me to say. That the 6-4 favourite will probably place. But that's where she is. Could she win it? Absolutely. Could she get beat by something more progressive? Indeed. And I don't think we learn anything either way from her winning at 1-8.
I don't disagree, Jimmy. Anything to add?
I think the only way she lost that year with Limerick Lace because of the ground.
Yeah.
I know she won 2 miles 6 at Ferry House the last day, but it was a crawl, and she still barely took the last fence at Ferry House with her.
I also think Mark Walsh was thrown under the bus in the sense that he was told to ride her to get the trip, when what he wanted to do, as far as I know, was ride her to win the race.
I understand that part, but even so, Emmet,
do you notice how his riding has suddenly improved since he's gone? Screw you guys! I'm going to do my own thing, Eric Cartman style, and suddenly he's winning.
Always a great jockey, in my opinion. But
we never questioned. We never.
Spindlebury, I agree with Adam. I think it would be favourite. I wouldn't give up on her because she didn't have a hard race in the Irish Gold Cup. But I can't believe I'm saying that. I'm really coming around to the horse that's improving all year. And I have a rule of thumb when it comes to mares. You're improving all year. This is your year.
Panic Attack.
Like, Panic Attack is a massive each way, So, between the 3, would I be shocked Dino Blue wins or lose? But I think Dino Blue won last year because it was better ground. And it was a nothing race last year. So, Spindlebury, Panic Attack and Dino Blue, it's up to yourself. But, I still think Panic Attack is massive value, and I'll be backing that.
Okay, if you're watching this before Thursday, which hopefully you are, this is it. This is your last chance to get the entry in for your 1xBet tickets for the 1xBet Grand National Trial at Punchestown this Sunday. Sunday afternoon racing at Punchestown is always great fun, but it's going to be better this weekend. We've got the Scottish Grand National winner, Captain Cody, who's, maybe he would have won the Thursday's Chase, irrespective of. Looks like he's going to run. Will Harry Cobden be there to ride him? We shall see. Will Paul Townend have the ride? We'll see. Gordon Elliott's going to have a strong team. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. That might be useful for you in a second. Henry de Bromhead, Gavin Cromwell. It's going to be a highly supported race. There's some fascinating racing on the day as well. There's a really good novice hurdle. There's a good beginner's chase or a novice chase. The bumper was won by Game of Inches last season, who was a horse we were all excited to see, but we haven't seen him yet. That form should work out later in the season. You can be there. Not only do we have consolation tickets, as in pair of tickets for you to win if you don't win the main prize, but the main prize is at least 2 individual winners of the Final Furlong podcast will get pair of tickets and access to the owners and trainers and lunch for you and a friend this Sunday afternoon. How do you win? Smash the subscribe button to the Final Furlong Podcast YouTube channel. Subscribe to the 1xBet Ireland YouTube channel. The link is in the episode description. It'll take you right there. And comment below with your answer to this question. Who was the winning trainer of last year's 1xBet Grand National Trial, or what is now known as the 1xBet Grand National Trial at Punchestown? Who was the winning trainer of last year's 1xBet Grand National Trial? It's not that difficult to guess. He's leading the Trainers' Championship and he's won it multiple times. The race, that is. Your chance to win. Now we'll announce the winner on Thursday for the weekend preview, and we'll preview the big race on Thursday or on Friday as well. Grab yourself some tickets to Punchestown this weekend. Best of luck to you. 18 plus only. Terms and conditions apply. Gamble responsibly. Your game, your odds, your 1xBet. It's all courtesy of our friends at 1xBet, official betting partner of the 1xBet Grand National Trial, and hopefully lots of racing at the Curragh to come as well. All right, what was your 1xBet highlight of the weekend, Adam Mills?
I'm actually going to put in a horse that we haven't talked about at all, which ran last Thursday at Huntingdon. Act of Innocence won the Sydney Banks, which was the race that Shishkin won en route to winning the Supreme. Act of Innocence will almost certainly run in the Turners, because Old Park Star is going to win the Supreme, so they may as well have a crack at the Turners. I just thought this was exceptional. He was 3-4 wide the whole way. Nico was looking for better ground. And turning in, I was thinking, are we going to pick up? And then he just went. And when you look at the sectional times and compare him to the other race on the card, admittedly much lower rated horses, but he's just miles quicker than those. Gallops all the way through the line, took a bit of time to pull up despite the soft ground. I think he's a massive player in the Turners, and I watched him win at Huntingdon, and 10 minutes later went and backed him. I just thought that was like, of all the horses I've seen the last few days, that was the one I thought, yeah, you've really taken a massive step forwards. Got up in trip a little bit. 2.5 miles is going to suit. Yeah, that's the first time I thought I finally got the right side of one of these novices. I've got myself a decent price, and I'm quite happy with it because I think he'll run really well.
What else did you get?
Only 10s. It's not like it's life-changing, but
No, but
I still think on the day he might be around a 5-1, 11-2 shot. I also think there'll be a lot of each-way doubles with Old Park Star, and if Old Park Star wins, I think there's a chance he goes off a bit shorter, but I just, even though it wasn't probably the greatest renewal of the Sydney Banks, I just thought he was top class the way he went through it.
There's going to be 2 related contingency bets for those novice hurdles. There's going to be the Old Park Star going on to Active Innocence. There's going to be Talk to Talk going on to Ballyfad. Choose your fighter. Which of those form lines is the one that's going to come out on top? And definitely Minaldi Yoga enhanced the form I thought with his good run in the juvenile hurdle the other day, and he was giving him buckets of weight. Jaime Wrenn, your 1xBet highlight of the weekend.
Kopek de Boer going around Punchestown. You asked for that, Kennedy. You asked for that.
Would you stop, would you? Would you
And then I'll say the second one, because I was going to say the same horse at a minute, Active Innocence. I'll go Highland Crystal with a wink.
Yeah. Whatever could he mean? Whatever could he mean? Don't forget, you've heard it here on this show. 3 starts back, by the way. Sober Glory. Sober Glory was the highlight of the weekend for me. He's a serious horse. Maybe the 2 boys are right. Maybe he gets lapped in the Supreme. Maybe Barry Doyle and I are right. Maybe 16-1 is way too big. That's it. Thank you for watching this episode of the Final Furlong Podcast. We are back with you on Wednesday. Adam Mills will be here alongside Paul Ferguson of the Weatherby's Cheltenham Festival Betting Guide. Another exclusive discount code for you to get the essential guide for the Cheltenham Festival, and we're going to focus on the novice chasers. So full preview of the Arkle, the Brown Advisory, and some of the handicaps for the novice chasers at Cheltenham as well. Really looking forward to recording that episode for you. Make sure you're with us on Wednesday for that. And the weekend preview on Thursday will shine the spotlight on the big races, including the 1xBet trial at Punchestown, and that's when we'll announce the winner of our competition. You could be on your way to the Punchestown racecourse this Sunday afternoon. You could join ourselves in the owners and trainers. Lunch for you as well. At least 2 Final Furlong Podcast viewers / listeners will win that. We'll give you a chance to enter on X as well. Don't worry if you don't watch on YouTube. If you're listening to the podcast, which a lot of you do, I should have said this earlier on, you can also enter via social media on X as well. Details are on the Final Furlong Podcast X page and at Radio Emmet on X as well. But by now, you know the situation. You got to subscribe to the Final Furlong Podcast YouTube channel. Subscribe to the 1xBet Ireland YouTube channel and comment below who was the winning trainer of last year's 1xBet Grand National Trial, or what is now known as the 1xBet Grand National Trial, should I say. Comment below. We'll announce the winner on Thursday. Very best of luck to you. 18 plus only. Terms and conditions apply. BeGambleAware.org. Your game, your odds, your 1xBet. From Adam Mills, Jaime Wrenn, and me, Emmet Kennedy, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Your support of the show means a lot to us. Smash a like on this episode if you haven't already, and we'll talk to you again very, very soon. The boys and myself, look after yourself and each other. God bless.
Thanks for spending some time with us on the Final Furlong Podcast. We're independent media, so if you like what we do, hit like, share, and subscribe. It's free, it's quick, and it genuinely helps. And if you enjoyed this episode, there's plenty more where that came from. Don't miss out. Subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all major platforms, and join us on the gravy train. The Final Furlong Podcast. Independent, unfiltered, and powered by you.